Yay.
Hey everyone, I'm Katie. I'm the Director of Programming here at Wicked Queer, and welcome to our comedy Q&A. This is definitely my niche within the programmers, and this year in particular, it kind of just fell into place with all of these shorts that came together. And you never know specifically what's going on right now, what shorts we're going to get. And I think, as we were just talking before, I think this is something everyone needed. And even in my intro, I think a lot of festivals don't have enough comedic queer content. And so I really do now is making it my mission, I think, to continue this comedy shorts program, however we can put it together. So I'm really excited to have all of these directors here from all around the world right now at crazy time. So thank you guys for taking the time. I'll go around, ask you questions, ask you a few questions, and then we can kind of open it up if you guys have questions for the other filmmakers. Let's start with Chrissy, who is an alum who I just interviewed for another short she had a few days ago with Carol. And I just want to say, when I saw this, it validated my feelings about the movie, because I was like, well, I saw it and I was like, I don't understand why everyone loves this movie. I was like, am I missing something? And then I was like, it's made for straight audiences. And then when I saw it, and I was like, yes, thank you. Like, someone understands my feelings. So tell me, like how you came about thinking about doing it.
Thank you. Well, first off, thank you so much for having me at Wicked Queer. I love this festival. Also, I support the cultural boycott of Israel. And also, I thought Carol was a movie that, as I was watching it, I was laughing at watching it going, this is hilarious, right? Like the predator old person preying on the little girl, like, this is funny, right? But no one else was laughing. And I'm like, oh, everyone thinks this is a very serious movie. Mm-hmm. So I kind of also had this dialogue in my head of like, this is a spoof of like things that can go wrong, right? So then when I made the parody of it, it was pretty easy to make. Your question was how?
It was just like how you came about doing it, because I think not everyone has the feelings that me and you have. and it's like, it is true. Like, this is like an absurd premise. And in like all your scenes, I wrote something down. It was like, Chandra, I bought you a suitcase. You must come with me. Like all those lines, it was just like really clever, I thought.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think that in the rush towards Cate Blanchett playing a lesbian in a major Hollywood production, our queer critique got kind of lost. And I think that that's sad, because I think that as queer community, we get to say what's true. We don't have to say, oh, look at the Emperor's fantastic outfit. We get to say, nope. And so I think that this was definitely one of those Emperor's New Clothes kinds of movies, where just because Cate Blanchett was in it, and it didn't mean that it was like a fantastic film. Also, I don't know if you know the director, Todd Haynes. As his graduate program, he had made a spoof, not a spoof, he had told a biography of the Karen Carpenter story with Barbie dolls that was completely like over the top melodramatic. And that's kind of was when the first time when I was started making Barbie doll movies, he was one of my influences. And then to see him like have moved this like progression into like making these films that just, they lost their edge, they lost their, what I think as queer people we can do, which is like, say what's true and challenge things. So making this was just, I thought it was really a lot of fun to make. And I'm glad that people have liked it.
I'm glad you validated my feelings. Thank you.
Yay. Thanks.
Let's go to Amelia, which is 4 a.m. in Australia. So I really appreciate you waking up and doing this.
Thank you.
I thought this was such a clever way to talk about the spectrum and gender and sexuality. So how did you think about doing it this way?
I came up with it in the shower. As I do so often. It's the one piece, a bit of peace I get in my day. I've got a lot of children. So essentially, I think I've had a lot of difficulty getting acceptance. Sydney's quite forward-thinking, but Australia isn't. And I want to basically expand hearts and minds. And I think the best way to do that is through comedy, and also a gentle approach. So Salad Days, my point was to kind of gently nudge people to go, maybe chill out a bit, you know. So it was really, that was the point. I thought, how can I just gently nudge people to say it's time to chill? Like there are lots of options, lots of lifestyles, lots of identities. You need to chill out about this. And in fact, there is almost a little bit of a, you know, I was trying to highlight that you can look a bit like a bigot if you don't just accept that progression is happening. So
that was gonna be my other question with Apple. Like, what was your
Apple lady?
Yeah, Apple lady. So what was like your thought about putting, you know, Apple lady in compared to like everybody else? Because she was obviously very like, what?
That's right. So that was a little bit of me poking fun at the people who are a bit. I wanted to very gently just, you know, highlight how silly people can look when they're not accepting. And we're not expecting everybody to just accept and celebrate everything straight away. It is, you know, we're moving forward slowly, but it is starting, you know, with the progression that we're getting with LGBTQ plus all different sexual lifestyles and all the choices, all the identities, all the things that are happening. With the progressions that's happening, if you can't find some way to accept this and hopefully one day even celebrate it, then you are starting to be the people who are being left behind. And so that was my point. I wanted to very gently, using comedy, highlight that it's time to start being okay with this, folks.
It was very clever. So many of us like had seen it on Film Freeway and we're like, this is just, yes, this is so funny and smart. I love it. So
thank you.
Thank you so much. Carmine, let's go to Tuxedo Terrace. Love the aesthetic of this. Talk about how you came up with this concept.
Well, basically, I was inspired by the idea of that Hollywood was built on the backs of queer people who basically were straight washed through history, and whether it be Cary Grant or Katharine Hepburn, didn't really get to be their true authentic selves. And a lot of people don't know the queer history of Hollywood. They assume that, you know, that people were straight who weren't, and they take for granted the people who came before them. And I kind of wanted to give a little nod, a little reminder that this was our history, and people were in the closet for a long time here, persecuted, you know, and hidden, and just give a little history lesson, I guess.
And what made you decide to do it more in the comedic fashion that you did?
I think I always kind of fell for that comedic style, and I wanted to make us kind of a screwball comedy. And I thought, you know, I always think not to take myself too seriously, and it's easier to poke fun at myself than do it too dramatically. So give it a little comedy edge.
Our executive director saw this and wrote, gave him some birdcage vibes.
Yeah.
So like, I really enjoyed it. And just, I think, how did the casting go? Because I thought everyone was just so well casted in their parts.
It took a while to cast, and I was really I was inspired by The Birdcage and Dinner at 8 and all these old screwball comedies. So I really wanted people who understood that kind of acting and that style of acting and that style of film. So which was hard here in Los Angeles. Everybody's so focused on their Instagram and their kind of short-term acting, and I wanted a different style, which I found, thankfully. Really great actors.
Awesome. Mike, let's talk about the Dick Appointment. Loved it. So funny. Your lead actor was in Danny the Manny, correct?
Yes, which is a web series I did.
So I screened that a couple years ago. I did a comedic web series and I recognized him, love him. Let's hear how you came up with the concept. And I really liked how you intertwined the app stuff with, you know, reality.
Yeah, I think, you know, I've never seen before app culture depicted in this way. And I feel like, you know, generally people behave totally differently online than they do in person. We would be a lot more polite in person, I think, than we'd be online, where it sort of have this literal screen between us and the other person. And so I wanted to personify that and just show what it felt like, because I thought it's really hard to capture that feeling when you're just filming a phone screen. So I brought these people to life, and then it made the whole premise a little bit more interesting and engaging, you know, because he could be darting around his apartment versus just like sitting on his couch, you know, swiping left and right or tapping or, you know, whatever these boys are doing these days.
I mean, it was really a great way to show like this is not how, like it's when you do it and you have people talk about what they're texting, it just comes off like you would never say that to somebody in real life. So I just really liked how you showed that, and then there was kind of like a heart to the story in the end.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, because I think a lot of people, people go into apps for different things, and I think all of those reasons are valid, but it can be very intimidating if you are looking for, something like longer term, let's say, or you're not as experienced. And I think as queer people, it's definitely getting better, but there's not like a very clear sex education. So everyone on those apps is very accessible, but that also means that everyone's coming at it from a different perspective. So it's also trying to capture the diversity of people, like experientially, racially, every form in this, because I think that's really important to showcase.
And how did you come up with the name?
I don't know. I think my friends and I like say that, or maybe that's like a line from Insecure, like having a dick appointment or something. I can't quite remember, but it just sort of stuck. And I was like, what does this person really need? And he like has a meeting with himself and another man, hopefully.
Love Insecure. Love Insecure.
Me too. Yeah, it's a big inspiration for sure, generally.
Brilliant. Jonathan, let's talk about Operator. One, loved the flamingo aesthetic in there. I think this is one of the first ones that you submitted pretty early, and I was like, yes, this is like definitely gonna start my comedy program. So let's talk about how you came up with the concept.
Operator started life as something to distract us while we were in lockdown. So I live with my partner, and we were having this really bad string of luck at the start of the pandemic lockdown here. So all of my jobs got cancelled. I usually work as a script supervisor on film sets, and everything shut down. Then I had a problem with my eyes, and I was told I was going blind. And then the same week, my partner was made redundant from his job as well. So we were both sitting at home being like, okay, we're going to be broke, and I'm going to be blind, and we have no money, and we don't know what we're doing. So we decided we'd make a film to try and take our minds off things, and Operator's what we came up with.
It was really, the dialogue was really funny, and I just loved how it always just came back to the main character. It was, specifically, I think it was the second call with the woman, and she's like, what are you talking about? Because he just kept talking about himself. How did you come up with the main character being like so self-obsessed?
I think I took a lot of the traits from my partner and just expanded upon them. So he's generally a little bit narcissistic, and I'd always annoy him about how narcissistic he was, and everything was always about him. So I decided to just amplify it. So I think, and because we were getting so bogged down with our own problems and stuff, it was kind of nice to write a film about someone who can't stop thinking about their own problems, and their problems are the worst thing possibly happening in the world, despite everything else that's going on around them. So it was a lot of fun to write his dialogue.
Yeah, it was great. Has it played in Ireland at all?
Yeah, it's done surprisingly well. I think this is our 15th festival internationally. So yeah, it's got a really nice reception, especially for something that we didn't really intend to show anyone, but people seem to like it. And
I'm glad you did.
Thank you.
Olivia, let's go to you with Pound of Flesh. So I was unsure where this is going, and then the payoff at the end, you're like, yes. Like, how did it come about?
So the story with this film is when I was still in film school, I was looking for a script for my grad film, and I was reading a lot of scripts, and they were just all pretty boring. And then I started to read this script, and I was like, okay, that's intriguing. What's happening? And in the end, I was like, this twist is just amazing. And I optioned the script straight after, because I just really loved the story, and kind of this contrast of the horrible boss and this kind of shy guy who's so brave in the end. So yeah.
And how did he was really great as the lead. How did you find the lead actor?
So I posted an advert on a website, and I looked for a lot of application, but no one was quite right. I really wanted to get the main character write in order for this story to work. And then I just started to look through for guys in that age gap and just tried to understand what features needs the actor in order to like kind of fit into this character. So I just looked for faces, and in the end I narrowed it down to 2 or 3 people, and I think Jack did pretty good job.
Yeah, and I was again, the payoff was just like, and just the contrast of who he was in the beginning, and then once he transitioned into a woman, just the personality differences. Do you see that because she was then finally okay with who she was?
Yeah, so it was kind of the journey of the character. So at the beginning, he was very isolated and shy and didn't really want to share this issue with anyone. And then once he finally made his dream come true, he was just very confident in his own skin. So I'm very happy it came across.
Great. Christy, let's come back to you. You have a very unique way of storytelling, and I would just love to know how you started with kind of the Lego aspect of doing these kind of things.
Well, I come from a big family. We didn't have much money, so there was a lot of, like, when we couldn't go outside and play, there was lots of imaginative play around the house and sort of literally animating objects to, like, you know, have stories throughout the day. I also was using things that I happened to have around the house too. I would love to, like, I mean, like, it would be fun to like actually have actors, but I don't have anyone in my life that has the hours that I have, and also that I'm not that coordinated to like get all the schedules lined up. So working with inanimate objects in like a stop motion way, I'm taking care of my mom and doing a lot of elder care. So, you know, working independently with objects quietly at night and doing this very precise thing that I had to really be mindful of, it's been a perfect fit for my circumstance with elder care. And also I like asking the audience to participate a little bit. I think that sometimes when I'm sort of like spacing out when I'm supposed to be watching a movie, it's because I'm not engaged. And for me, animation, and especially stop motion animation, I think that as a viewer, you have to be more engaged in it. And it's also, I think, kind of fun to like propose a situation with inanimate objects and then see like what the viewer is like projecting onto those, these especially like nostalgic childhood toys. Like I like making the audience participate with me a little bit in the storytelling.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to show that you don't need like a huge budget and you don't need all these actors. It's a really creative way just to tell a story, to tell a good story. And you have several different ways you tell stories. Obviously you were in Queer Lives too. So it's great. And I always like look forward to when you submit stuff.
Thank you so much. That's really high praise that I really value. So thank you very much. And thank you for creating a venue where, you know, people at various points in their career and various budgets can participate. So I think that speaks well of the festival too, that you know, there's an opportunity there for someone like me to be able to have a broad audience. So thank you.
You're welcome. Amelia, so within this program, I believe we had 2 from Australia, and then in my women's program, we have 2 Australian comedies as well. Do you think, and it's just like, I just happened to come all these, and I was like, thank you, Australia, for making really funny films, like funny queer films. Do you find that is a lot in Australia, or is it just maybe just this year that I've happened to get some?
Things are hilarious down under.
No, there's certainly there's a taste for it at the moment, and Australians tend to handle everything with humor. And you know, whenever we've got any kind of discrimination, I think the way to get the Australian audience in particular to be quite receptive is through humor. So, and then that's the reason why I chose humor as to get my message across. Yeah, Australians are quite laid back in that way, which is great. Plus we've got, you know, a building, you know, progressive way of thinking, thankfully. So I'm glad to hear that, actually. That's lovely.
I know, I think I found, have you played at the Mardi Gras, the one in Sydney, the Mardi Gras Film Festival, the queer?
I've been approached by them recently, so we're just talking at the moment, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, 'cause I found a couple, because we're all in like this Facebook group, a lot of us all over the country, like programmers, and so we'll be like, have you seen this? You know, da 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 da. And so she gave me her program, and I don't know if I found it from there, if you had submitted, but we found a few, and I was like, thank you, like for all these great comedies.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
a great festival, so I'm
Oh
sure.
no, it's a fabulous festival in Sydney. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Carmine, back to the aesthetic and kind of the set design and that red dress with like the red lipstick, just like I just feel like really made it all come together. Like what was the like, you know, that part, the set design and kind of the costume part of it?
I really wanted to look like a Technicolor 50s movie and kind of juxtapose the beautiful aesthetic with the secrets everyone was hiding. So everyone looks perfect on the outside, but inside they're all crumbling, they're all hiding, they're all telling secrets and lies. So I thought there was a kind of counterbalance to that. I wanted it to look like I was watching an episode of I Love Lucy that was colorized, and everybody was so vibrant, and Lucy's hair was so red and orange, and I was like, that's what I want it to look like. And thankfully my cinematographer was able to do that. The red dress really helped too.
It definitely did. And I just like at the end with kind of when Elizabeth Taylor comes in and you kind of have that like glamorous moment. It's amazing.
Everything's inspired by another movie, of course, but there's a shot in Suddenly Last Summer where there's this beautiful close-up of her face. And I was like, this is the shot we're doing on this girl. And I managed to get her eyes lavender, which was amazing. So it worked out really well.
Awesome. Jonathan, with Operator, like the story I feel like is funny enough, just having it being this self-obsessed talking, you know, finding out his ex is engaged, but what made you put in the zombie apocalypse part?
Because I just really wanted to make a horror movie. And this was my really serious attempt at a horror movie. Yeah, we had no budget and we didn't know what we were doing, and we wanted something that we could shoot in our apartment. So we decided to do it all through sound. And like my partner used to work as like a call center operator for Uber because they've one of their headquarters here. So a lot of the stories were taken from his job back then. He used to come home and be like, oh yeah, I was really late I was late getting out because someone has just been like beheaded in an Uber in Johannesburg, so I had to stay late and do the paperwork. So it's just things like that. Just it set my mind thinking, and it was like, okay, this is what our film's gonna be.
Do you also feel like it's a commentary on kind of the pitfalls of social media and the things that you can find out and become obsessed with and the direction?
Oh, totally. Yeah, I think we're all guilty of that. Learning something that you shouldn't know and then becoming obsessed by it, and that's all you're going to think about for the next 2 weeks. Very that.
Olivia, how has this played in other festivals? How has this been receptive in the trans community?
It's gonna play on one non-LGBT festival in London, and I'm still waiting for quite a few festivals. I haven't sent it to that many yet, so
you'll be in more festivals, I'm sure. How was filming? How long did filming take? Because you had a lot of extras in the beginning, and what was the filming process like?
So it was just 2.5 days, which was very challenging.
You did this in 2.5 days?
Yes.
Kudos to you.
Thank you. And I've been told many times not to work with children and dogs, and I do believe it's very true.
So was the dog difficult to work with?
So I was very scared from the beginning when I saw this script that there's a dog that actually needs to do some very specific action. And it needs to be a very specific dog to match the script as well. So I was like, I like challenges. So I was like, okay, I'll take it. But yeah, our dog that was meant to play in the film initially, and which was, I think, better much, felt ill on the day. So we had to find a new dog last minute. We work with an agency, but yeah, that was tricky as well.
I mean, that's stressful enough. And then you have to get a dog the last minute. I'm glad it worked out. Mike, with your film, and I'd said this before, it definitely ends with having a heart to the story and kind of saying that you don't necessarily need to just go out and find someone to have sex with if you have a connection with someone else. So how did you find kind of intertwining the comedy with that?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I think as we're all talking about, comedy is a great way to express like social issues or sugarcoat the pill of whatever you're having the audience swallow. So that could be love, that could be some kind of heartbreak, or it could be something, more political. So I definitely like always love sense of humor, and using it to disarm an audience, I think is really fun. So for like the cold open, for example, I'm playing it as if it's a date. And then I think that there's a lot of expectation that you immediately get, that the protagonist is bringing to the table, and you sort of immediately feel for him by putting it in that situation, and by eliciting a lot of humor through that. You can be like, oh, okay, you can see his disappointment. To have those yays and boos, I think is really important in comedy too, those highs and lows. So I think comedy just sort of really works in that way, and I think makes it accessible, and it's like you can track the story in a way that may be a little bit less discernible in a drama, depending on what you're watching and how moody it is. So yeah, and I just love to make people laugh too, and think that the whole
I mean, I thought you did a great job intertwining those. And again, I just love him as an actor, and I just loved when he would go in and then do like 3 push-ups and then be like come out, and it was those little parts were super funny.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks.
Chrissy, do you have anything you want to promote, talk about, anything next you might have coming up?
I see that you're showing Bound. I'm working on a parody of Bound. So heads up for that. I think anything that like everyone gets behind, I love to complicate. So I'm looking forward to that.
Is that gonna be in like black and white or like a little noir kind of?
I hope so. I have an old filter effect now, so I'm gonna try to like see if I can't do some fun things with that.
Awesome. Well, obviously send it my way.
Thank you.
Amelia, what about you?
Yeah, a couple of things happening. I do have, I'm writing a feature film with my partner at the moment called Mother Tongue, which is going to be a story of 2 women who are trying to get pregnant and fail to over and over. And eventually it turns into a horror film involving, it's going to be, I'm trying to normalize gay relationships by essentially not bringing attention to the fact that that's happening in the story. There just happen to be 2 people who are in love who are trying to have a baby, and at the same time do a really awesome horror film. So awesome. That's what's happening with Mother Tongue. Yeah.
Again, I mean, send it my way when it's done.
All right, will do.
We have if you're interested in that kind of stuff, we have Bloodthirsty. Have you read anything about it? It's the feature we're screening, and she's a singer and turns into a werewolf.
Yes, I have heard about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you should watch it. Like I not my genre at all, but like the soundtrack is so good, and it's not like your normal lesbian acoustic soundtrack kind of thing. It's like really legit good music. It's really good. You should check it out.
That sounds exciting. I'll have a look. Thank you.
Carmine, what about you?
I'm kind of in this old Hollywood weird space where I'm doing a lot of nostalgic kind of twists on stories. So the next one is kind of a screwball comedy again about kind of a Fred and Ginger type characters, where it's more of a pro-feminist telling about how Ginger basically did everything Fred did except backwards and in heels. So it's kind of glorifying the partner who never got the glory.
Awesome. I'm excited. Is it going to have kind of, you feel like the same aesthetic that you've had in this film?
I think so. I think it'll be black and white, but yes.
Nice. Jonathan, what about you? You and your partner making any other films?
I have a couple of short films that are all in pre-production, and we're kind of waiting for the restrictions to lift a bit so we can get out and shoot them. But in the meantime, we have actually been talking about making something else here in the apartment to see, can we do it again for another film?
Yes.
Making movies in your apartment.
Exactly.
Is
so actually,
Kieran
I wrote.
still alive? Or did he like die in the zombie apocalypse?
Oh no, I think I've killed Kieran off. He met a very unhappy end. But yeah, so hopefully something will happen with that in a couple of weeks. If all goes
Awesome.
to plan.
Awesome. And what about you, Olivia? Are you done with film school or?
Yeah, I finished film school a while ago. So my next film is a documentary, experimental documentary about a sinister house.
Ooh, interesting. And where is that going to be filmed?
So it's going to involve CCTV footage.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a little story from Eastern Europe.
Nice. That sounds awesome. Well, good luck with that. And Mike, you have anything in the works?
Yeah, I'm developing a script called Bros of Honor, and it's based off my experiences being my brother's best man and having to like be in charge of the bachelor party and entering this very straight world that I have, since I've come out totally disassociated from. So it's like The Hangover meets Bridesmaids kind of vibe, like it's very bro-y, but then there's got that heart in it. There's a lot of commentary about like, it's all about toxic masculinity basically, and how these movies are vessels for that sort of like id of our society to just pop off, and there's not a lot of consequences. And there is, but still, their female representation is bad. Anyway, I could go on forever, but like I'm excited to clear that space up and still have it be hopefully like very accessible to a lot of people, so.
Love it. That sounds awesome. Can't wait. Do you guys have any questions for each other?
Well, congratulations, everyone. I watched the program and it's really strong. Congratulations, everybody.
And if you guys haven't watched the program, definitely watch the program. You guys should have gotten a pass to watch it. So if not, and then if you guys need recommendations, I've seen a lot of films that we're screening. So let me know between the shorts programs and the features if you guys are interested in anything. Feel free to reach out. And then obviously in the future, if you guys have films, feel free to reach out to me directly. You guys all have my email. Do you guys have any other questions? No?
Yay, comedy.
Yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it again, you guys taking the time to do this and really making really great funny films. So please go out and watch these, and I can't wait to see what you guys make next. Thank you guys so much.
Hope to meet you all one day.
Yeah, thank
Yes,
you so
when
much.
we
Thank
can be in
Thank you so
person.
much.
It was great to laugh watching all these.
Well, again, thank you guys so much, and I really appreciate it. Amelia, maybe go try to get some sleep.
Thank you, will do.
Well, again, thank you guys, and hopefully see you guys soon someday in person when you guys send me your next films and we can meet in person.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye,
everyone.
guys. Thank you,
Bye.
Charles.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.